randomly make people mad, eh?
I don't know why he's pissed off. I don't know, I'm just talking, man.
So I actually just put us live. So we are here with Warhammer Weekly. I'm going to quickly switch over to this fancy little thing I got here. Dun, dun, dun. So welcome to Warhammer Weekly as presented by me, because Nick is gone, just on vacation for this weekend. With me is the Baron of Beard, Whoopi. How's it going?
Not too bad. It's good to be here.
We might have a surprise guest joining us later, but we'll see how that goes. Have you heard anything from Nick? Was he captured by like Grease pirates or anything, or?
I don't know. As far as I know, he's having a good time in Greece, and Tyler's up in Cuba, and I'm in Iowa, so I'm completely jealous.
I don't know, that Iowa, there's lots to do there, isn't there?
Yeah, we got cornfields, and there's a park, and some more cornfields. It's a lot of energy.
Like the corn, right? No?
Oh yeah, and then we got plenty of demons down here. It's crazy.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So for those watching, we do have a bit of a schedule. We're going to see if we can keep through. I don't know. But there will be set points where we will be looking for the comments. So if you have anything to say, just go ahead and put them in, and we'll catch them later. And we'll see how much of a robot we're going to be, because we're having some storm issues. Am I already being robot?
Yeah, a little bit.
Awesome.
It's off to a good start.
So I guess the first... Yeah, never off to a good start. So we're going to be going back to screen share. Dun-dun-dun. And we're going to be hopping over to these pictures here. And we're going to be looking at, first, some Tomb Kings coming in from Fernando Lanas. And these here are going to be some Tomb Scorpions. I don't really recognize where these models come from. Do you know where these come from, Whoopi?
I was actually going to ask the same thing. Is that customized, or is... I can't recognize the models. If those are customized, that's completely awesome.
My guess is that these are Reaper or something, because I mean, if you was to customize one completely, I could see that, but two that it look exactly the same, it just makes me really think these must be from somewhere. I just have no idea where.
Yeah, they kind of got the mechanical look down to that. I could definitely see that.
But I like these sculpts a lot better. I mean, like the GW one that has like, oh, I have a dead guy on my back. I don't know. I'd rather just be a real scorpion like this.
Yeah, that always kind of bothered me a little bit. It's like a sarcophagus on the back, and it just... Is that because it's supposed to be a construct made of bones? I
don't know. Crazy. But when I die, I want to be put on a dead scorpion. That's my wishes.
I'll etch it in the tombstone.
So next up here from Fernando is going to be his, what is it called, a Necro Titan or a Hero Titan? I always forget.
I think it's the Hero Titan, isn't it?
I always forget. But this one here you can see is made from the old Bone Giant. He's just kind of, I'm guessing, green stuffed on that little hat and cloak, and made the scales and the staff. And you know what? I kind of really like this conversion. It's a nice... pretty straightforward one. I'm sure there was quite a lot of work to get that headdress done, but you know, you could take an existing model, do a few little mods. Good to go.
That takes a lot of work, and it's hard to see the scale of this, but you're right, that is a Bone Giant, so that's actually a pretty big model. That's substantial size, so that's actually a lot of customization to actually make that work.
I'm guessing those scales, too, would have taken a lot of work as well, because having to cut those chains just to the right amount, having to cut the holes to put the chains on, I'm sure that took a little bit of work, at least, to get that all right and perfect.
Oh, yeah, that's something I definitely appreciate in models, when people actually go that extra level to put in the chains and stuff like that.
Yeah. So next up, same thing. Here's his Casket of Souls. And this is the one where you can see where the top came from one of the War Sphinxes here, and you got the rider and all those guys. You know, again, I mean, might as well, right? When you got these pieces, why not go and convert your own stuff up? I think the only thing that here stands out to me is the guy on the left, which is like, I'm a ninja. I'll stab you behind my neck.
I was thinking the same thing. He's going totally Army of Dead on you. I love it. It's an animated model like that. Beside, I I love it. It's entertaining.
Yeah, and you got the scarabs there coming out as if that's like the magic pulse or something. So yeah, that works for me. Are you still there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. So here's another one. No real conversions here, but just as little horse archers. These fast cav not as effective as the wood elf ones.
Oh no, 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 no. Yeah, not being able to march kind of ruins the whole effectiveness of fast cab, definitely.
Although I gotta say, for the times I played my Tomb Kings, having a unit that can move 8 inches is like, wow, these guys are amazing.
Yeah, coming from dwarves, it's like, whoa, this is amazing. It's like I can fly. I definitely kind of miss the old skeletons, like the different animations of the skulls and stuff. Those were kind of fun.
Mm. So I think that's the last from Fernando here. And so now we're going to go on to Marcus Leedstrom, I believe is how I say it. And we're going to be having some vampire count stuff here, I believe. So again, I have no idea where these sculpts come from. I believe he even asked me, like, oh, I dare you to try and guess where these came from. And I have no idea.
It kind of looks like he customized part of aren't those the Reapers or the Karen race that are on the horses? I can't remember the names right now.
Oh, the Hex Wraiths?
Yeah, it's the upper half of the Hex Wraith mixed with like pieces of the Grave Guard.
That could be. I don't own any Hex Wraiths, so I mean, yeah, it could easily be.
I have like 10 of them, and I spent way too long painting each one. So I remember them vaguely, but
yeah, looking at that shoulder pad, like on the guy that's on the right, that shoulder pad you can see, I'm pretty sure that's a Grave Guard one.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the one on the left is definitely the Hex Wraith. And I love the palette he's using. It's very cool colors, and then it goes to the warm oranges very well. I love it.
Mm-hmm. So the next one he has here is now he's going to have a couple of his White King. And so, I mean, we can look at the bum, but why not go to the next one and see what it looks like from the front with all the rest of the dudes.
I don't know. The baby's got back.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah?
Yeah, it's a White King.
I know you want to do with that bone tail. I know you.
Tongue-in-cheek humor.
So here we got this here. I mean, like, I really do like this, the way that he stands out and the different bit swaps he did. Like, this just looks great to me.
Oh, yeah, very animated. I love that. And it's not one of those things where he's on a stone. I love bases with, like, stones on them, but it always bothers me somehow, like, how do the stones move with them? It's nitpicky, but I love that it's just, like, animated and it's still on the base and it looks like it's moving with the rest of the unit. I love that.
Yeah. By the way, interesting that you mentioned that because something like that will be coming up. But yeah, I mean, just the whole unit here, all these guys. I'm assuming they're Black Knights. Maybe he runs them as the Dragon Princes or whatever. Blood Knights. That's it. But yeah, just really cool looking units. And it's one of these things where maybe they're not the most effective unless you put like a Blender Lord in there or something. But hey, they're gonna look awesome.
Oh yeah, those Black Knights are actually surprisingly hold a pretty nice punch. I mean, as far as what the vampire counts can do, you don't have much to work with. So I agree, like, being a transition with the Blender Lord in it makes them the most effective. But White Kings are definitely like a hidden sleeper for the vampire counts.
So next up, this is going to be a very cool conversion coming from Mr. Lee Mech Shop. And there's going to be really just different angles of this one here. But this will be a skull cannon that he's converted up here, and personally I think it's great. I mean, the whole weird biker machine of the other one looks kind of weird to me, and this thing here makes sense, right? You got kind of like this demon rhino or rhinox that's pulling the cart, and you got the cannon on top. Just maybe here's one from the other side too. What are your thoughts on this conversion?
I completely agree. I think like you were saying, it completely took the original model and brought it into what I feel like fantasy should be, and it feels very Korn. It has the gore and the intensity of it, and it looks like a model made by GW. It doesn't look customized. I think it's pretty flawless customization. It's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. So he does have a couple more angles of it. He has one here showing from the back where he has some trophies and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a little bit more back here. I mean, this is one of the things too. Is that I mean, he could have very easily just made the cart, throw on the Rhinox, throw on the cannon, done. But it's nice to see he took the time. Or let's put a skeleton on here. Let's put some heads there. Let's put some heads here, which really just makes more work for him, right? Like this whole part didn't need to be here, but he's just doing it to add more detail, and it just makes it all the better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell love was put into that. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Take it whatever way you want, but there's definitely care put into this, and it truly showed on Google Plus. I couldn't get enough of this model. I thought it was awesome.
When I looked at this picture here, I like to think that with all the blood effects and what you see from the thumb, that he was actually so hardcore that he sliced his thumb to smear his own blood on his model.
Blood for the blood god!
So just another one here from the front. And a little bit more close-up of the Rhinox and all the blood and all that fun stuff. So,
yeah, that's good blood work. He didn't overdo it, which is hard to do with red because it's such a bold color that sometimes it just completely takes it away. A lot of people try to do blood, and it's just too much red, and he had a perfect balance.
That's pretty much how I do red. I'll paint up the model just the way I like it, then I'll take my brush and swap. Well, I just screwed up this model. Gotta repaint it.
Yeah, what do you do if there's too much red? Put more red on.
It's now going to be red. That's just the color. It's done.
I'm going with red orcs this time. I wanted to go with a Warcraft kind of feel.
Yeah. So now we're going to be moving on. This will be from, he didn't give his name, but it's N. Bister. Do you know who this is?
Never heard of it.
Okay. Well, he has two different things here. His first one here is, first of all, the huge horde of orcs here with spears, so good on you for doing that. But it's more so just that unit filler, where he has that squig off he just puts in there, and that's kind of a pricey way to go for a unit filler.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe he just had the model and he's like, I need something to do with it. What is that guy crossing his arms? Is that a river troll customized, or what is that?
This is a war boss here. I always forget where that one comes from. I actually don't own this one yet, but yeah, I mean that's definitely a great looking model. He's looking kind of badass, like the dwarf characters with their arms crossed.
Yeah, he's just mean bugging everyone. I love it. This is just like a completely. I like how you could tell the unit was thought out before he did it.
One of the things I like the idea is like these guys are all like crazy and running forward. So I like the idea that this guy is like crossing his arm and running forward like a Ukrainian dance. Ha 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 ha!
Just doing his German dance into battle.
You realize it's a fight. Isn't this a dance off? What's going on? No.
I'm an orc. I don't know. That's awesome.
Hey, can we go fight now? No, I'm having a staring contest.
Go fight your friends. I don't know. I'm dancing. Woo!
But here's the one I was talking about here, where he has these Pegasus Knights he made, and I guess it isn't nice that we're picking on them. But okay, let's start with the good. I like the Pegasus Knights. I like the way, like the nice blue wings. They're not white. There's a different color there. He took the time to put in the hand-drawn shields and stuff like that. But again, it bothers me first that there's that wall that'll be magically going across the board, and also it's like these two Pegasus are running and had to leap over the wall, and this guy's like, "Suckers, you're on a Pegasus, fly!"
He's like the head of the unit. He's like, you guys have to run. I'm the one that gets to fly. But yeah, this is a very well painted unit. I feel like nitpicking when I say that kind of stuff, but it's little things. I know that aesthetically it's beautiful, but just in the game, it's just, I don't know, it's personal preference, I guess.
And that's one of the problems. I know with the Pegasus Knights, those silly little flying rods break all the time. And so you always do want to do something like this with a piece of terrain where it's attached somewhere on the model so that you don't need to have that flying rod. So you don't need to do like a big solid thing like this. But yeah, you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I saw some interesting techniques from Once Bitten on his site using those coat hangers. That was a pretty neat idea. It added a lot of movement, and he didn't have to add the stagnant pieces to it. But yeah, besides the wall, it's a beautiful piece. I really like the painting, and like you said, the blue on the wings is really well done.
Yeah. By the way, something I've noticed while we've been talking here is that while we do this, where we're seeing this picture, there's been no robots. Am I right about that?
Yes. Yes,
So
you are.
my current theory is that I'm so handsome that when the picture shows me, it's flooded with women, and that's why it slows down.
It's a complete theory. You know that's a theory you got. Yeah, it's you said pants optional. I mean, that's gotta mean something, right?
The ladies are waiting.
Yeah, they're just like, Malorian's gonna come back. He's gonna come back on.
So we just have another look of the same thing here, but yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, for the pictures. So there's that. I'll just switch on back over here. And yeah, there are a couple of comments. We're going to be getting to it after our first topic, but the first topic we're going to be talking about today is the effectiveness of terrain. So it's one of these things where we have this terrain in the game, and the whole point of it is for it to have an effect on your game, right? You could go and just lay out a mat and play on your empty board, but terrain is supposed to make it more interesting so that it's not just the matchups of this unit versus this. It's also, well, okay, I got to use this to my advantage and this to my advantage, and we're going to talk about the different pieces of terrain and how they do or don't do that well. So I think we'll start on a positive note, and we'll talk about things that we do like the effect of. So, Whoopi, what's a piece of terrain that you do like the way how it works currently?
You know, I don't mind the building rules. I feel like there's not very much wrong with those. To be honest, with 8th edition, there is a lot to be desired with terrain rules in general. The wood rules, I can't tell how I feel about them because I feel like a lot of people that I play personally don't use the hidden thickets to what they're supposed to be used. Like it's either woods where it disrupts the steadfast or it's nothing. I don't know. Most people I play don't play competitively or to the rule book, so I don't really get experience from that. The only terrain that I feel like affects the true battlefield anymore is either rivers or buildings.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know for my part,
Go ahead.
Were you something else to say?
No.
Okay, I know for my part, the pieces of terrain I like the most are the ones that have the area effects. So something like the Tower of Blood or something like that, where 6 inches around it, it gives frenzy or +1 the wound or something like that, because really it's so easy and it affects everything. It has a nice little effect. It's controlled. It's in this area, and it's not something that's overly dominant or overly weak. It's just something that's there and actually affects the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that kind of. Where I play, a lot of people are scared to use anything that breaks out of the custom. Just move your units forward. If it disrupts the normal play, it's like, oh my gosh, that gives frenzy? My units don't have frenzy. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it just it's like sandpaper against people's skin to try to get those kind of things in the game. And I like those things. I feel like it throws a monkey wrench in people's plans. Same reason I like Watchtowers. Same reason I like the scenarios. I feel like it keeps you from playing these internet lists that otherwise would just freaking, I don't know. You know what I'm getting at. It's either you're going to be playing these internet lists that are just have no way of being beat, and the only way to disrupt them is these scenarios or to change up the game. And otherwise, it's getting to the point where it's almost to 40K, where you can be like, okay, this is going to win, and this is going to lose when you look at the list. Digressing from the terrain point of view, I agree with that. I like the terrains that kind of throw a monkey wrench in people's plans.
Now, I think one of the biggest ones we could talk about next is the common forest, because the forest is the one that comes up the most often. It's the 7 on the chart, and I mean, what it used to be is everything in a forest, if it wasn't a skirmisher, is going half speed. So forest had a real effect on the table. Once they changed over to this, where all of a sudden, like, sure, you lose steadfast if the majority is in the forest, it seemed like at the beginning it was still kind of a big deal, but once you start seeing hordes where the majority wasn't even in it, even when they were going through it, it's a lot of times the forest almost like open terrain. Is that what you kind of find too?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree with that. And do you play with the random forests that like turn into venom thickets and stuff like that often?
If it's ever my decision, yes, I always go with Mysterious Forest. If my opponent says, no, I want to do regular, okay, sure, whatever, no big deal.
Okay, because like I was saying, I feel like what you were getting at is true. Like, unless you do the Mysterious Forest, I feel like forests aren't very viable anymore as actual pieces of terrain that interfere with the battlefield. Because, I mean, before terrain was like, okay, I have to work around this. Now it's just like, oh, I'm just going to walk through it.
So do you feel it should be the way it used to be, where you're at half speed if you're in a forest and not a skirmisher?
I liked that. I thought it added fluff to the battlefield, and it added a new dynamic, because if there was a forest to it in front of you, you had to work around it. It wasn't just, it added a new dynamic to the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, I mean, the same thing could be said with some other stuff too, like say swamps, where for the most part you can march through that all you want. Maybe a corner of your unit will go through, right? Let's say 20 of my guys are going through the swamp as I'm marching through. Well, 3 of them will die. And it just seems like, oh, there's like this quicksand. Yeah, send everybody through. I don't even care.
Yeah, it's more of just an annoyance that it's like, damn it, why is this even here?
So again, I think the same thing. Like, if you just made marshes so you can't march through them, that would, I mean, even skirmishers too, right? Because why would skirmishers be running through quicksand? But
yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like forests is? I guess I haven't played against the Wood Elves much, and this is going to be moving on to a subject later in the video. But do you feel like with the Wood Elves that forests have become more viable, or is it just still?
Well, with the Wood Elves, at least they have more control. I mean, the Wood Elves actually get to place the woods where they want to be. They get to pick exactly what type it is. So they can actually get what they want out of it, whereas sometimes it's like, oh, there's a forest on the flank. You know, either it could be a fungus forest, and that's really bad, or it could just be the one where it causes fear, and you don't even care, right? So definitely the Wood Elves bring it up a level, but I still feel that even if you put 4 forests on the board, for the most part, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, yeah. Do you see them trying to lure people into forests a lot?
No, I mean, really, when I first saw the book, I thought that'd be one of their plans, right? Is they'd say take a unit of their great weapon guys just behind it and try and draw you in, but no one is playing that from what I've seen so far. Everybody either plays the run and run shoot or kind of like a mixed style where they have some wild riders and some tree men and then some archers as well. Nobody's doing the real combat block waiting behind a forest. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, from all the battlefield or the battle reports I've seen, and like I said, I haven't played against Wood Elves yet. I have the book, but I haven't seen anyone try that. It seems like your videos talking about the Wood Elves in general, it's mostly skirmishing. Tyler had a video where he tried combat blocks and tried to lure him in, but it doesn't. It seems like people are not buying the bait. It's just like, well, it's obvious. I'm not gonna hit you in your element. You're Wood Elves.
Tyler posted the battle report. This doesn't seem real. Does this happen?
Oh, every once in a blue moon. Yeah, he gets them out every now and then.
Now, how about rivers? Now, rivers is something that actually has a very strong effect on the game, because it's the thing where you can't march through them. You lose your ranks. You lose steadfast. But a lot of people feel that they're too powerful. I think that they're really good. I just think that they need limitations, right? Like, maybe they should say that it has to have a bridge that's this wide. The river can only be this long. And I think otherwise, I think rivers are great, you know, if they're in moderation.
Yeah, I could definitely see that point of view, because honestly, they do what terrain's supposed to do. It makes you think about the game differently. It makes you come with a new dynamic, because for example, today I was watching a battle report with Once Bitten where there was a bunch of troops just facing off against each other. And there was this huge river down the middle of it. And no one wanted to cross it because of all the negative effects. So it's one of those things, if you met somewhere in the middle, that could be actually beneficial, where you, like you were saying, if they found some way to even it out, or even like designate a bridge, or even throw that into a game scenario somehow.
But I mean, at least on that one, they even had 2 bridges, so that was pretty nice for them. But I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah, very true.
All right. Well, unfortunately, the other person I was hoping to be here hasn't joined yet. However, we will move on to the next section, which, because it's really going to be the way I had planned anyway, because we're now going to be interviewing our guest, and I thought we'd do like a YouTube Inception, and actually, Whoopi, you would be the guest, and we'd be interviewing you. Is it blowing your mind?
Oh my gosh.
What's going on here?
My mind is blown. Deep bass music just started playing. Leonardo DiCaprio popped out of my closet.
Yeah.
Things are getting real.
So, Whoopi, how did you actually get into the hobby?
It was a long time ago. I was like 8 when I got into the hobby. And one of my friends named Troy, he was this kind of shady character who really loved playing strategy games. And he got me and my brother into it. And I picked up we picked up the starter set with Bretonnians and Lizardmen in it right away. And my dad kind of flagged us into it because he loved modeling. He was into like modeling cars and stuff. So he pretty much slave labored us into keeping into the hobby, and, which turned out being a good thing because we played more and more, and it turned out just being a fun experience overall. So we ended up getting into the hobby because of him, but we stayed in it throughout because of my dad. And he really got us into the hobby aspect of it, which kind of kept us throughout all these editions.
Yeah. So what was your first army, really? Like the first army you really grabbed? Like, this is the army for me.
The first army I played was Bretonnians. And I always wondered why I lost against my brother's Lizardmen. And I got so frustrated with it that I'm like, I hate magic. I don't like magic. I'm tired of magic. And I was looking at dwarves, and I'm like, these guys are badass. They have beards. They like to drink. They're like stubborn. They hate everyone. They use great axes. What's not to like? They don't have magic. And so I jumped into them, and I really, really got into dwarves. And to be honest, since then, I've moved to different armies, but dwarves have been my stable. If I played anything competitively, it would be dwarves, but otherwise, I like to play theme armies besides that.
Are you ever drawn in by the orcs and goblins?
I actually had orcs and goblins for a while. I still have an army of them. I just haven't bought the 8th edition book. It's just like I'm waiting for the 9th edition book to come out, I think, because, I don't know, I have like 40 black orcs and 40 double choppa normal biggins, and I don't want to buy like 40 savage orc biggins and all that. But yeah. I love the fluff.
It looks like right now we have. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Looks like right now we have like 18 viewers or 17 viewers. So if you guys want to post questions, we're almost at the spot where we're going to be answering questions. But while we wait for that, you know how normally I send in the Malorian questions for you guys to ask your guests? I got some Malorian questions for you. So the first question I got for you is, what would you do for a Klondike bar? If right now I had that offer and you're like, man, where should I set that first bar? What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Oh, man. I don't know. Like, I guess, like, how high does the bar have to go? Not kill a man, I guess.
That'd be your offer? I'm just not going to kill anyone, so basically not do anything?
I'll sit here and I'll listen. I'll watch every one of your battle reports, and I'll leave a like on everyone. And a good compliment. I'll be like, Malorian, you're so hot. I remember one of the first things I did. It was you had like a questionnaire, and I posted like I'm like, oh, he's answering questions. I'm gonna post something funny because he seems like he has a sense of humor. And I'm like, Lauren, are you ever so hot when you look in the mirror? Do you burst into flames? And everyone's like, you even answered the troll questions. I can't believe that. And I'm like, I thought it was funny. I don't know. But yeah,
anyways, you gotta have fun.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, here's the second question. You have a fiance, right?
Yeah.
All right. If the house is on fire, what would you say first? Would you grab your fiance or your Warhammer armies?
Can I have her grab the Warhammer armies and then grab her?
There's a thinking man.
Does that work? I don't know. I would have to. You can't. I pick my fiance. You can't choose a life over models, right?
Is she standing there right now with like a knife waiting?
She just walked by giving me the drive-by glare, so I think I'm safe. I'll save a couple dwarves.
Yeah. All right, so here's the next one. Now, maybe you don't love the little men enough to, save them in front of like the wife, but between a rating of 1 and 10, how much do you love your little men?
Oh, 10. I love my little men.
Yeah.
I remember. Oh my gosh. I remember when I was young and I didn't have anyone to play with. I would just play with them like they were toys. It's just like Warhammer is such a integrating hobby. I mean, there's so much you can do with it, fluff-wise, strategy-wise. It's just all-encompassing. I love it. I love everything about it.
All right, here's question 4. So now that you've admitted to loving little men, so you're a known pedophile, how did you get that fiance in the first place?
Well, she's actually a very tall little man. She's known as a giant dwarf.
Yeah.
So, she's a midget with giantism. It's a strange thing. She's also hermaphrodite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, it worked out. I'm like, oh, you're a little man? Oh, okay. Hi. She gave me the L for love. I think the middle finger means that, right, Carrie? Yeah. But oh.
All right, here's the last question. If you had to pick one Warhammer army, which would just not exist anymore, they would go out and just poof, they'd be gone forever, what army would you pick?
High elves. Elves.
High elves?
Something about elves, man. I like wood elves, but I don't even play elves in wood elves. I play tree men out of wood elves. It's kind of like a cop out, but it's something about elves. I don't even know if it's because I started with dwarves or like just got really into dwarves. It's something about who they are. They just scream pompousness that just like upsets me. And like I found myself almost getting into high elves, and I'm just like, no, can't do that. I can't do that. And I bought the Book of Grudges and read through it, and I'm at a good place now.
All right, so what you're saying is I need to play more high elves, right? That's what you're saying?
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at, I guess. And then I'll be tortured for the Klondike bar because I'll have to watch high elf battles to get a Klondike bar.
Yeah. All right, so we got through the questions. So now we're going to be taking a look at some of the viewer questions here. And it hasn't really populated with a lot yet. But first we got one here from Naren Zaid saying that this video needs more brony. Incorrect. Don't even start with me. Then we have...
I love you, Zaid. I love you. Oh.
Then we have Dews Dwarves saying that is a old Games Day model. Okay, so that's that orc with the crossed arms. I guess that's a Games Day one.
Oh, right on. That's
Which means it's probably like $50 on eBay.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder if he earned it or if he bought it.
Yeah, I don't know. Next one I'm seeing here is from, oh god, Mirid Thagkish saying, oh, I get it, no pants because bronies don't wear pants. Can I get a bro hoof?
How did this get taken over by bronies when Naren's...
I don't know!
Oh, he's like a virus. It's awesome.
Don't get me wrong. I actually like watching the show. I think it's funny. I just want to take an army of bronies. That's all. Oh, we got tons of stuff here now. Next one here we have from Kyle Spitz saying it's basically that Maloran was saying in his first Wood Up video that basically saying is that the 100-point victory condition is what's really hurting the game. Do you feel like that's really hurting the game too?
Yeah, I do. I feel like you can get away with a lot of squeaking by victories with that.
Next one here is from Dews Dwarfs again saying, how many points of dwarves do you have? For my part, I have about now, I think it's 4,000 points. I mean, it depends how heavy you go with characters, but how about for your side?
I was going to say 4,000 range too. I don't actually know. I haven't actually, like, added them all up. I went through a crazy phase where I bought, like, 80 miners and, like, way more than I'll ever use. I'll just leave it with that.
Let's see. Everything just got mixed up here, but I have one here from Sons of Shrey saying, what do you think of the High Elves as far as power level goes? I mean, if they're going with the one like crazy build that has the banner of the Will Dragon and stuff like that, they're pretty high up there. But otherwise, if you're not doing Super Death Star, I figure that they're pretty good. They're in the normal range of everybody else. What do you think?
I think they're a very strong army. I think they can be, like you were saying, at a higher level, or they can be played just... I just think they're a strong army, to be honest. All hate aside, it was a very well put together book. I was kind of jealous of it. That might be the inner dwarf of me talking, but it's just a very well put together army.
Another one here from Mississippi Kid 355 saying, going back to terrain stuff, what do you think about the Siege terrain game? Have you played a Siege game?
No, I've heard people talk about it, but I've never actually tried to play it.
I've played a few times, and I mean, really, it's just the building rules turned into a castle with some other stuff, but the real difference here is that you can put things other than infantry inside those walls, and I feel that helps it, but at the same time, it's the same thing, right? If somebody goes crazy and puts like 100 night goblins in there, you're not going to take it. And it's just the same type of things can happen. Luckily, normally when you do a Siege game, people aren't being jerks because you're playing a special game to have fun.
Yeah, that'd be my thoughts on it too. Like, I could see how that would be abused if people wanted to, but the whole point of playing it is to have like a Helm's Deep type kind of battle, you know.
All right, so there's some other stuff here that's not really questions. So, and again, I mean, maybe there's stuff there right now for those watching currently. I just hasn't updated here yet. But we're going to go to our next topic, and then we'll come back again after. But the next topic we're going to talk about is things that you just don't do in tournaments. This could be either stuff that you don't do tactically, like, oh, you don't go and make dumb mistakes, or it can be saying like other pet peeves, like don't go and touch somebody else's models or something. So I thought we'd just go back and forth. So what's your first one, Whoopi?
Don't bring bronies.
That's great.
Don't threaten to punch someone in the face, I guess. Interesting question. Actually, Naren Zaid asked me if someone ever actually tried to punch me in the face at a tournament. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever seen anything like that happen?
No one's ever tried to punch me in the face.
Okay. Don't punch people in the face. It's not fun. It's not fun for anyone.
Okay, I think that my next one of things not to do in the tournament is probably make sure that you have. I mean, don't go there not showered. You know, you got some guys like, oh, it's time to wake up for the early tournament. I don't have a time for a shower. That's okay. And you go there, and I mean, you're only going to sweat more because you got like 60 sweaty guys in a hall, right? And it's just, no, don't do that. You know, I've actually heard of at some tournaments where the TOs go around with like a spray. It's like, you know, like, so don't be that guy.
Oh God.
What's your next one?
Don't touch people's dice. People get really, really fanatical about their dice. There's a lot of stuff about that. Just a lot of theories about dice. Don't touch anyone's dice. It's equivalent to touching their penis.
You know, and sometimes it just makes sense, right? Because like they roll their hits, they roll their 2 wounds, and there's the dice right there. I should be rolling for my armor saves. But I always make sure that if I ever want to do that, I ask them like, "Hey, do you mind if I just roll those?" But usually, just why not use your own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're used to playing like Warhammer or just playing with your friends, it's just natural to pick up dice and roll them. Don't do that. Ask. And if you're at a tournament, don't maybe just bring your own dice. Don't even ask. Just
yeah. So my next one here will have to be, if there is an actual girl gamer that came there, don't be the perv that sits there staring at them. We've had that a few in like the War Machine tournaments and the Warhammer tournaments, and there's like a couple of girls that come out, and you see the guys go like, you know, and God help those girls if they're facing those little pubescent boys, because the whole time they're just, it's like, come on, you know, show some class.
Yeah, the hobby's small enough as it is. You don't want to separate sexes on this. Let's be real on that.
What else do you got?
So don't punch people. Take showers. Don't touch dice. Don't ogle the women. I think just be very, very communicative with the person you're playing. Just make it very clear what you're doing. Like if you're moving a model in a place to do a certain thing, make it very clear what you're doing, because a lot of people will move something somewhere, like if, for example, they're moving an eagle to redirect something and their inches are just off or centimeters are just off, that can completely screw it up. And if they don't communicate what they're trying to do, they're going to totally take advantage of that.
Yeah. I guess kind of taking that as well, one of the things not to do is don't go into the game having any assumptions of your opponent. Some of them are like, oh, this is going to be a very competitive player, so I'm going to go into this game and just like really roll really fast because I know that they know what I'm doing. It's kind of like what you said, the communication, but like they'll just jump into it and assume like, oh, he knows what I'm rolling, so roll really fast. Or it even goes the other way too, where you make the assumption like, oh, the other guy is new. He's not any good. I'm going to explain everything. My orcs have 1 attack and an extra choppa and frenzy. So the front rank gets 30 attacks plus 10. No, don't do that garbage. You know?
Every turn I got to roll to see if these 2 units throw poop at each other. So just bear with me while I'm doing this right now. I completely agree with that. Judging judging the person you're playing, don't do that. Just be yourself. Be who you are. Play how you play. Just be yourself. Don't play down. Don't play up. Just try to play with who you are. I mean, that's a generic statement, but a lot of people don't get that. I feel like.
All right, let's just do one more each. So what's your last one of what not to do in a tournament?
If you're getting a table flip with finesse.
Yeah.
Try to strike a pose. You know, do it like sly. Oh man, sorry. I didn't even. I was going for the thinker.
I like to fake a seizure. That's my thing.
Yeah, just epilepsy is a good excuse sometimes. Just oh wait, oh god.
Yeah. I think, okay, so for my last one of what not to do in tournaments is really what kind of happens after lunch. And what you have is these guys that come back and their hands are covered in grease and, they got like whatever sauce and stuff on them. And then they start coming on and they start touching either, like, for sure, don't touch the other person's bottles, but even if they start touching, like, the terrain to move it around, to pack up their guys, just no, when you're done your lunch, go and clean up. I don't know how many tournaments I've gone to where the game right after lunch, I look across and you can see those slimy, greasy hands, and you don't even want to hand them your army list. It's like, here, look at it. You cannot touch it, but you can look at it. You greasy bugger.
It's almost like you have to cover it in plastic. Their hands are just glistening. You can see the grease just shining off of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No bueno. No bueno.
So we do have more questions now, so we're going to be going through more of these. The first one here is from Summerfield82. It says, "Come to Sweden. We shall drink Brandvin, eat dark mead with fermented herring, and play Warhammer with the blonde women." He lost me to the end. All the start, I was like, blonde women, okay, now we're all right again.
Yeah, my fiance is blonde, so I'm blonde. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you have fermented herring?
I could find it, I guess. How do you ferment herring? I guess would be the first step.
At first I was wondering if he was talking about this or something, but that's not this Bronvin Akvivet.
It's funny because
Crazy
both of our ancestors are actually from Norway and the Scandinavia in general, and so I'm like, oh, let's look up Scandinavian cuisine and see what our ancestors ate. It was like goat's head and just a lot of strange things. And I'll stick to Mexican, Italian, and American. I'm good with that.
We have another one here from Cipriano Lopez saying, "Will spear infantry ever make a comeback? What would it take rules-wise to get them back into use?" Do you want to take a first stab at that one?
If there was some kind of defensive application besides what they have right now, maybe even like a strength bonus for being charged or something, I feel like that would add some kind of incentive to do it, because right now there's really not too much of an incentive. I mean, for me, the only time I use spears is rarely on fast cav or on my skeletons, because with skeletons you don't have to worry. It's just you get it free, Otherwise, there's not very many. It's not as useful as it should be.
Mm-hmm. How about this? If it was attack in one more rank when you didn't move, like now, and you got +1 strength, do you think that's enough?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would at least be. It would give you something for your buck.
Mm-hmm. Now, something that they used to do before is say something like your models with multiple attacks, be it they're the savages or the swords, they actually had multiple attacks with those spears as well. Do you think that's going too far?
It could be. I feel like if you took it that far, it would have to be either the plus attack or the plus strength, I feel like. Otherwise, you might end up starting a new trend.
Yeah. I think the +1 strength addition, I think that's all it really needs to.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So we have one here now from Derek Drizobek saying, "Random question. With the introduction of allies in 6th and 7th edition 40k, it seems inevitable that a similar system will be instituted in fantasy. How do you think this will affect the game? And what about purchasing terrain fortifications for your army like in 40k? I've said this multiple times before. I think this would be horrendous. What you really saw on the 40k side is that once you allowed allies and the mixing, you start seeing these crazy, crazy combinations. and it really came to the point where it wasn't really an option to take allies. Your army was intrinsically better with allies. If you did not take allies, you were holding yourself back. And so I just don't really want to see this. I know from GW's side it's better for them because, hey, if you're buying allies, you might as well buy that army too, and they're just selling more models. But for the game, I think it's just a really bad idea. I mean, just think of it. You'll be starting to see a Nurgle Demon Prince in every army. So at least for that part, I really don't want to see the allies. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. I hope to God they don't do it. I could see it happening. I just don't want it to happen. We've talked about it before on other Warhammer Weeklies, and I think we've talked about it with you too. It would defeat the whole purpose of the separation of armies, because at that point it disrupts the uniqueness of each army because you can just pick and choose the best parts of each one. And at that moment, you're completely just, it's like you said, if you're not taking allies, you're shooting yourself in the foot at that moment.
Now, what about buying the terrain? Right now, you already can, basically, right? You can take the Folding Fortress, and I know it's already pretty much banned in almost every tournament I see. Because really, unless it's the Watchtower, they can sit back in that tower the entire time. And normally the people who take that are taking a Death Star that hides inside it. So, but I think really if you change the scenarios, like I always push again, to being more flag and zone control that forces you to move up, buy all the terrain you want, right? If you want to buy some walls to give yourself hard cover, go ahead. If you want a building to hide your bunker in, whatever, but as long as the scenario is forcing the rest of the army up. If they don't add that and just allow you to buy all of a sudden castles and stuff, again, big mistake that you really saw in 40K as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my thoughts. Like, if there's some kind of incentive to bring you out of a shell, that's definitely the way that would keep it from being overpowered. Otherwise, I could see a lot of people abusing that system terribly.
Here's another one from Summerfield 82 saying, enough of the jokes, and really with all we've been talking about with the mobile Wood Elves, what army would you consider to be the anti-Wood Elf army that's just running around? What's your take on this one?
I was trying to think of it. To be honest, I don't know. I feel like there's some certain lores that could be used to the advantage against Wood Elves that aren't really utilized as much anymore, and they're like lores that aren't even really used, like Lore Fire. I feel like could actually have applications against Wood Elves. Zinch magic could be used against Wood Elves. I feel like Nurgle magic could be used against Wood Elves, but it definitely changes up the game for a lot of armies, and it causes you to totally rethink how you're going to play against it. Otherwise, I don't really.
One of the comments that somebody made in one of the videos that I think is actually a really good one is they said, what about the Tomb Kings? The Tomb Kings can take these big blocks of archers, and they can have the things like Kalita or whatever to buff them up or to get extra shots. I really think that might be the anti-Wood Elf build, is the Tomb Kings set up with lots of those skeleton archers, which are hitting on a 5+ regardless. And, you know, if you shoot them down, they can use their magic not to really hurt you, but just raise themselves back up to kind of mitigate whatever losses they take. You think that might be the answer?
Absolutely. I think that's completely viable, especially since they're always hitting on 5s, so their movement really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're out of range or, I mean, well, you know what I mean, if they're long range distance or if you moved or anything, that's completely viable.
Yeah. Here's one here from Christopher Davis saying, Malorian, do you know how Once Bitten did in his most recent tournament? I don't care about spoilers. No, it's not like, you know, we talk a lot or anything like that. All I'm going to say is that I'm sure it's not great. I mean, he took Beastman, so, I mean, I don't think he would have, like, got top prize or whatever.
Yeah, we Beastmen. they're something. Yeah, we don't have like a hidden chat line with Once Bitten or anything. I don't know. I guess I don't. Lauren, do you like call him up at late at night. So what's up? Once bitten.
Well, you know, when I was over there, I did leave that one secret webcam, but that's really just because his daughter's hot. So I mean, not really.
There's gonna be one backlash, one downvote.
That's yeah. We have another one here from my Urid the Kish. Do you ever find yourself buying a bunch of characters from broken open starter sets and then converting them later out of guilt? Not really starter set conversion stuff. I usually find my sin is buying every orc character I can. I mean, literally, the top shelf up there is all orc characters, and even if I ran like a 10,000 point game, I couldn't use them all. So
yeah, that's the way I was with the
you?
dwarves. To be honest, like I have so many characters for them. I had to stop myself going buying even more. I'm just like, no, I don't need these. I'm never gonna use these. I don't need to buy these. But I wonder if he's talking about like the Island of Blood with the wizards or something, or.
Mm.
I'm not sure, but yeah, no.
I mean, I guess for the most part. Yeah, and if we talk about those, I did keep the 2 griffins just in case I was going to run double griffin or something. But the second mage, honestly, I just turfed. I kept 1 mage, and the second was like, nope, don't need that.
I can understand the guilt because it's kind of cool. It's on that plumage of just fiery soulness or something. But yeah, I don't play high elves, so nope.
Yeah. Summerfield 82. Question for both of us: do you drink single malt? And what's your favorite brand? No, so doesn't really apply. What's your answer?
I don't drink single malt either. So.
Yeah. Frosties from Wendy's, isn't that supposed to be like malt ice cream? So Wendy's brand?
Yeah, I like Blizzards. Blizzards are good, right?
I'm having a vodka and orange juice. I'm not really a malt guy.
I wish I had something to drink, then that would excuse my weirdness, but I'm just strange.
All right, so there's no more questions that are loading up for me right now, and we're just in the last few minutes here, so we'll just ask one last question of you, Whoopi. If it was up to you and you were deciding to take over Warhammer Weekly, so you had to eliminate Nick and Tyler, what would be your devious plan to eliminate them?
I feel like I already did it. I mean, I don't know. They're my A team. I picked them because I felt like they were very. They understood what I wanted from the idea, and Nick was awesome for letting me use his idea on his channel and just hosting it. Because ideally, if I put it on my channel, no one would watch it. It's just like I love just being on here and having fun and just advertising people's stuff, and I feel like Nick and Tyler really added that extra kick to it. So I guess I would sneak to their house and kill them. And
okay.
To answer the question fairly, yeah.
I like how you sneak that in, though. You're all nice, like, oh, they're my A team. We're all brothers. I sneak into their house and I kill them.
See, by that time, they'll just think I'm talking about someone else. They're like, oh, Dylan says things. He'll never do that.
Yeah. So with that, I think we're really at the end of this show here. Next week, it'll be back to being on Long Island Wargaming, so you can go check it there Wednesday. It's always pretty much the same time here. Do you know what guest you might have arranged for next week?
We don't really have anyone lined up so far. We'll definitely keep you posted if you're on Google+. If you're not, join it. And we try to keep everyone posted up on what's going on there. If you have any submissions also, we have our emails up on, we post regularly our emails up on there. So if you want to have anything you want us to show, just go ahead and email us on there too.
All right, well, there you have it. There's my chance of actually getting to host Warhammer Weekly. And so thank you, Whoopi, for joining me on here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I feel like a nomad.
And we'll catch you guys later. Bye.